Hello, welcome to Life as Immersive Prayer. I'm Sky, and I am so happy to be on this journey with you and to get to explore the path of prayer together and guide you as well. Thank you so much for your trust and your willingness. It is my prayer that this group and the sharings that you absorb are deeply nourishing for you and the way of your life. To begin, we will explore today the essence of prayer and the path of prayer, what it means to live life in immersive prayer, and what it means to pray. The first thing to share with you is that life responds to our prayers often in unexpected ways. As you begin your journey in this group, it's good to abandon all expectations about what may happen or how life may respond to your prayers. Our only job, our role, is to simply hold the prayer of our being, of our lives, and then to let life take care of the rest, to trust life to do its thing, to rest in the miraculous nature of life, and to hold back from the urge, the impulse to control and dictate how things should unfold if they are indeed being answered and listened to. The path of prayer is founded in our surrender to the miraculous nature of life. What that means is that all of life is a miracle. We just get so used to it that we take the whole damn thing for granted. But when we pause and we simply sit back and we look around, perhaps we may notice that simply holding a cup is a miracle. That we can wash our bodies at the end of each day or at the beginning of a new day with water and start clean is a miracle. That water exists to clean us, to nourish us, to heal us. That trees exist and give us life. The miracle of bees and birds and touching each other and seeing each other. It's all a miracle. That we exist at all is a miracle. And the path of prayer, the first step, is in acknowledging, sensing, realizing the miracle of life. So the first thing for you to do is simply be aware of the miraculous nature of life. That's your homework today. There will be more later in this video. But the starting point is really to rest in your being throughout the day and return again and again to simply being aware of the miraculous nature of life. From there, the path of prayer is about surrendering to this miraculous nature of life. So, starting point 1 is becoming more deeply aware and attuned, increasing your awareness to the miraculous nature of life. And then, step 2, surrendering to this miraculous nature of life. Now, what does that mean, to surrender to the miraculous nature of life? Well, that means that life, it is inevitable that life will continue to be a miracle. And therefore, by virtue of being alive and part of this whole cosmic thing, we are inextricably bound to miracles and to the miraculous nature of existing. Simply to exist is a miracle. We are prone to miracles. And it is only our conditioning that takes us away from that place inside. We are prone to miracles. And so surrendering to the path of miracles means that we aren't gonna fight the miraculous nature of life or deny it or dispute it or try to control it anymore. Or we are not going to leave out our greatest co-conspirator and ally, Spirit itself, God itself, the universe, whatever term resonates for you. Surrendering to the miraculous nature means that we rest and we sit back and we say, I don't need to do this alone. I am prone to miracles. That is the most natural nature of my being. And I'm going to surrender to the fact that Spirit is here listening to me and is ready to support me and help me. And that the highest, most nourishing, fulfilling visions of my life are bound to unfold if only I include God in my prayers, in their unfolding, right? Rather than defaulting to the mind and trying to control and da-da-da-da-da. If only I pause and I recalibrate as often as needed each day to simply rest in the awareness that I am inextricably linked to miracles and to Spirit. Life as immersive prayer is essentially the reality of being in continuous dialogue with the divine in a conscious way, in a prayerful way, because we are always manifesting. It is the truth that we are always manifesting. Our thoughts, our vibration, our body, our prayers or lack thereof, they all communicate a certain message to the divine. And that message that they communicate, it's like all of these parts of us come together, right? The thoughts and the words we speak and the actions we take or don't take and the prayers we speak or don't speak. They're all an ingredient and they join together and essentially create a blueprint that is continuously shifting because we're always shifting. But it creates one overall message that is emitted into the ethers mysteriously. I can't explain how, but it's emitted. And because of the fact that everything is inextricably linked and we are all connected and connected to nature and to life, we send that message out through our being without even meaning to, whether we're aware of it or not. And it communicates a fact about our existence that we are stating to be true. And simply for that, we receive in return the reflection of that statement. And let's just call it a statement for now. We receive a response to that statement. And so because we are always manifesting anyway, we might as well do so with awareness and with consciousness. And that is when it becomes a prayer. When we become consciously, deeply aware of our interrelatedness to each other, to all things, when we become aware of the reality of this statement that we are constantly making, and we choose to work with that communication of that statement in a beautiful way, that's when our life becomes a prayer. That's when we become really prayerful. That's what it means to be really embodying prayer, rather than just going to your church or your temple or to your workshop or your yoga class and being with an intention for a moment and then going home and speaking to your kids like crap or to your partner like crap and, grumbling, pissed off as you go to sleep. That's just not the epitome of prayer and how we can live. It's less about the things, the overtly spiritual things that we engage with, like a temple or church or classes and workshops. It's less about that and more about how we embody the way that we really mean to live, how devoted we are to our impact, the impact that we have on our life and all things. Life as immersive prayers, it's such a powerful way to live because I would say, because then we're really living. And we're living no matter how we're living. It's all good. We all have our moments and our journeys and our lessons, so it's all fine. And yet, becoming aware of our creative potential in our own lives in a restful and truthful way, in a simple way, is so nourishing. So now that we've discussed some of the essence of prayer, let's discuss the elements of prayer. So to recap, it begins with our awareness, deepening our awareness, and sit with it for as long as you need to until it really feels like it's percolating in your being. Your awareness of the miraculous nature of life, the fact of miracles. And from there, feeling your willingness to surrender to the miraculous nature of life. Now, when it comes to praying, we can pray either deliberately or effortlessly, and sometimes a bit of both. What that means is that we can pray deliberately by, for example, performing a ritual, right? That's an example of deliberate prayer. We're actually doing something, right? Or our prayer may just be an overflow of our existence, of our being, which is what essentially living life as an immersive prayer is about. It's about resting into the prayerful flow and this continuous dialogue with the divine in a very attuned and sincere way. When we pray deliberately, so when we are speaking through an act of prayer to the divine, there are two main elements that are at play, essentially. One is witnessing and the other is attention. So witnessing is simply the phenomenal act of being aware of something. And it's actually the most natural resting point inside. When everything else fades away, the personality, the identification, and we're left with nothing, what we find is the reality of witnessing. When we pray restfully and we witness that prayer happening, somehow this witnessing act, which isn't even an act because it's not effort, it has no effort in it, but simply this reality of witnessing makes the prayer stronger. And that's why, although we may be manifesting and praying all the time through our statement, when we become aware of it and we witness it, right? When our awareness deepens and becomes more of our resting point, the prayer strengthens. Part of that, the reason why, is because we are more aware and we are witnessing that prayer and our statement. And this is a metaphysical reality that I wouldn't even dare to begin to really try to speak to. But all I can say is that it feels like a spiral. It feels like the figure 8 of infinity. That it's just, we're witnessing, it gets stronger, and then the reflection of the statement of life's response to us gets stronger, and then because we're witnessing the reflection of life, this response to us, because we're witnessing its strength and its language in more clarity, we're impressed upon with that reality of being responded to, and then our prayer gets stronger, and then the response gets stronger, and it's just this beautiful cycle that we enter because we choose to and because we show up for it. So witnessing, in a way, contributes to the volume of the prayer. If we pray absent-mindedly and we're just like, yeah, blah, 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 it's a nice intention. Yet somehow when we pray and we take the time to really make sure we're restful inside so that we may witness the prayer and really be with it, the prayer somehow amplifies, and what we see as we pray, witnessing our own prayerfulness energetically, entering the airwaves of existence, it has its own mysterious magic and reality to it. To sense what it feels like to witness, simply consider meditation. A thought comes and it passes, and another thought comes and it passes. And the whole time, you are the sky behind that thought, through which the thought passes. You are that force field of energy, that canvas that the thought passes through. Which brings us to the second element of prayer. What do you do with that force field of energy that you are? That's what brings us to attention. As I'm sure you're familiar with already, attention has to do with your focus and what you're focusing upon. So when we witness a thought, for example, that's negative or self-limiting or painful, when we engage with that thought and put our focus on it, when we put our attention on it, that thought grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then our body reacts and can manifest illness. And we may see in our lives more reflections of that painful thought. What we focus upon gets bigger. So the same is true for the opposite. When we focus upon the prayerful nature of life, we are bound to notice it more. And when it comes specifically to praying, it goes like this. The witness and the witnessing is this simple energy that notices the prayer. And then our attention, this incredible fact that we can condense our attention onto something, that's the part that is like the location of the prayer. So witnessing it is the volume, we're really witnessing it, and then our attention gets strong and focuses on the prayer. It's like being totally present with the prayer. So on one hand, you may be witnessing it, right? But maybe your phone's ringing over there, and your timer just went off over there, and your food's ready. And so you're kind of in between things. And that's okay, because sometimes praying in day-to-day life and throughout the day can be like that. But especially when we're deliberately praying and all of our attention, we're witnessing the prayer, and then all of our attention gets really condensed and in totality with the prayer. It's speaking to spirit. It's saying, this is the location of my energy. It's taking all of your energy. See, it can be tricky to speak about because it's so metaphysical and also mysterious. But essentially it's taking all of your energy and entering it through the pinhole so that you can begin to weave. You begin to sow into reality what you mean to sow. Another aspect of prayer that is important to consider is your energy, your feeling state, your emotions. Your feelings, the feelings that you have when you're praying, are like the hue, the color that imbues your prayer. This doesn't mean that you should feign joy to create a joyful prayer. What it means is that another element that is very relevant to your prayer is how you're feeling when you're praying. Your feeling state becomes a hue that imbues your prayer with a color. And I think the best way to lay it out is to say that when we go to pray deliberately, it's firstly, you go however you are. The most important thing always is to remember to trust yourself. And as long as you're being authentic, then it's good. Yeah. And yet also, when we're praying deliberately, it's just good to come in total presence. And whatever you're feeling you have, like if you have a very overwhelming feeling or emotion that's challenging or difficult, then you bring it into your prayer. So it's really about wholeness and authenticity and vulnerability. Praying in this immersive nature and in the potential of what prayer can be and how it can gift us. You come as you are, and with the awareness that your feelings impact and have a role to play. When I'm feeling something challenging, when I'm praying, what I do is I include it in the prayer. And there are all different prayer rituals we can talk about, but simply we're laying things out right now. So for now, I think just to be aware that your feelings are a part of your prayer. So now let's bring this back to home base and to this simple groundwork, living prayerfully. So again, the beginning point is becoming more deeply aware of the miraculous nature of life, and then surrendering to the miraculous nature of life. And then as you begin, and we're going to get into all the ways we can pray, yeah? Well, not all, but many ways we can pray. Then, as you begin to find yourself praying, notice that the main elements that are always present in a prayer and that create the volume and the strength of your prayer is the state of you as a witness and the concentration of your attention, and then whatever feelings you have. So for now, the only thing to do is to get familiar by becoming more intimate with the miraculous nature of life. And then just simply also notice the state of your being as a witness, that you are witnessing things throughout the day. And noticing your attention, that you have a choice, what you give attention to. These are the muscles to work with for as we go forward in our group. These will be your core muscles. The last bit to share with you regarding the essence of prayer is, where does your prayer come from? This is essential. The point of praying and living in immersive prayer isn't to win the lottery and have our life conform to the fictions and the fantasies of our minds. That's not what this is. This is about living in a harmony with life that is way beyond us, anything we could dream up or imagine. And to that end, it is essential that the prayers of our life, that they come from something beyond us and beyond our minds and beyond our dreams, that they come from a restful place inside, simply a sense of, oh, this feels right, or I feel to create this. And sometimes those feelings will contradict the mind and logic and what looks like should be happening, or just those things can contradict the mind. And yet it is essential that we we have loyalty to this voice inside that is guiding our lives. These prayers that come from deep within us and yet beyond us and the limited self are bound to happen, to manifest in our lives. And again, not according to how we think they should, but in miraculous ways beyond our comprehension. And sometimes you could say, results of one prayer may really surprise us, and they may just be meant to take us to the next thing. A really simple example of this is maybe we really feel to be with this person or that person, and we're praying for this connection and for the Spirit's support in guiding the connection and bringing us together, let's say. And this could be a business relationship or any sort of relationship. And then perhaps this relationship unfolds and it happens, and then it ends. And maybe it even ends in unfortunate or challenging ways. That doesn't mean that the prayer wasn't answered or that everything didn't unfold perfectly. It certainly did, especially if it came from that deep place inside. Sometimes that unfolding is meant to lead us to the next best place in our life, where a new opening happens or a new meeting happens. And so again, essential that as we go deeper into this course, that we let go of our expectations and our need to control, and that we surrender to this path of miracles, allowing the prayer of our lives to come from a place beyond us, devoting to a practice as often as we can. For some of you, it will be each day following the sharings. For others of you, it will be here and there when you can. But coming home inside again and again in personal practice, so that we may stay in alignment, and which is coming through restfulness inside, to hear this voice and this guidance and continue in our continuous dialogue with the divine in the way that we really intend to be communicating, creating the things that we really intend to be creating. Now, thank you for hearing this first sharing about prayerfulness. And without further ado, I have a deliberate prayerful act for you to engage with to begin this group and begin your journey. And it is a land offering. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what a land offering is, it's a prayer that you're going to offer to the land. And in the interest of time, I'm going to be brief, actually. But basically, in this example, in this exercise, you will collect, please, some biodegradable offerings for the land. Food, for example, rice, quinoa, flower petals. Women, if you're on your moon blood. I love to include cinnamon and cacao nibs and beans and when I create a land offering. So you prayerfully, with all of your love and your attention, collect these pieces together, trust your feeling, and gather them. You can gather them in a jar or in a compostable bag. And then when you're ready, when you really have time to be fully present with this, bring this offering as an act of gratitude to the earth for her presence as an ally in our lives and for her being a carrier of the prayer of our lives. Simply to be in communion and communication with the earth in this way as we begin the group. And you can add whatever prayer is natural to you. And simply by considering your prayer, or simply by just being present with whatever you feel as you're gathering the offering together, becomes part of your prayer, your awareness of the prayer. It's this simplicity, right? And then when you're ready, you have a moment, go somewhere that's special to you, or wherever you feel. It could be to a tree or to a body of water, and offer your prayer. And you can do this however feels right. You can bury it, you can sprinkle it, you can give it to the ocean, without the compostable bag, please, though, if you do that. And this will be your entry into the group. Please include your prayer for yourself in your life as it relates to this group, what you feel like is on path for you to be receiving in this group, what you feel ready for, what you need. When we pray, we ask for help, we ask for guidance, we ask for Spirit to co-create something with us. And lastly, we may just be praying as an overflow of our gratitude. So whatever is true for you, and maybe it's a bit of each, just to be with it. And to remember, if you feel it deep within you, then it is destined, it is bound to be. Spirit delivers it through us. We feel it, we witness it, we basically reaffirm it. Spirit sees our statement, feels it, gives it back into life, and we are in dialogue, in immersive prayer. Thank you. Aho.